3 straight games to start this series. So it was a game 7. They stand eye to eye with history, and they did not blink.
Thought about this morning for a long time. You have to break up the duo of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
As bad as we all would like to see it work, they can't coexist.
It's not that they're missing that one piece. It's that there's something flawed about Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown as your
Several months later.
White to Tatum. Tatum now drives, and Tatum!
Tatum trying to turn the corner. Brown from deep. He buries it.
Rick Carlisle says go. Nimhard drives into the paint. Knocked away and stolen by Holiday.
I don't know, countless dribbles.
Jaylen Brown with the flush.
We did it. We did it!
You did it. You crazy son of a bitch, you did it.
The 2024 Boston Celtics are one of the best-built championship teams we've seen in recent history. They're well-rounded, have a great duo, pretty good depth, and added 2 bona fide stars in Porzingis and Jrue Holiday. But at the same time, they're still kind of confusing, perplexing, and downright odd. As despite having so much firepower, so much depth, and so much talent, when it came to NBA media, they were doubted, cast aside, and scoffed at numerous times during this year's postseason.
I'm going with Dallas. I'm picking 6. I thought about 5.
Mavericks in 6.
I'm going Mavs in 7.
Okay. Ooh.
I'm Mavs in 6 with you.
Ceremony for the Mavericks is going to be in Boston.
So I like the Mavs. I said after, I think, Game 3 that I like the Mavs in 5.
Which team are you hearing could win a championship that you just don't see it?
Overrated, Boston.
Who do you have winning the whole darn thing?
Dallas.
I got the Mavs in 6.
Look, Boston fans are nervous right now.
Porzingis is healthy. They've got a lot of elements. I think I would take both Dallas and Minnesota against them.
Now, those figures right there, they're these so-called NBA experts who get paid the big bucks to give their takes and their predictions. And as you saw, the majority of them are just absolute clowns. So that's why I say Boston are kind of a perplexing champion and a polarizing champion. Because the media and fans alike, they picked against them all finals long. And despite that, the Celtics still won and overcame numerous false narratives.
They haven't been battle tested. I don't know if that's a good thing to get battle tested in the finals. True. I don't know if you want to get battle tested in the finals.
Has the Celtics' road been too easy? Do you have any concerns that the Celtics haven't been tested?
It's been too easy. Well, they haven't been tested, and I do have concerns because through the playoff run, they have not faced a 50-win team.
Like, I know Jaylen Brown and I know Jason Tatum have played really well in the finals, but when you look at the lineup of the teams they have had to go through, Luka and Kyrie have been tested getting out of the West and getting to this position.
Like, I don't think that they are ready for this difficulty jump.
A lot of the narratives of this Boston team, they really came out of sheer boredom. The biggest storyline for the Celtics team the past couple of weeks is who's the best player in the MVP of the Conference Finals as well as the NBA Finals. That's how dominant they've been. We're not debating Boston versus other teams, we're debating Boston versus Boston. And when it comes to the so-called weak run to the title, I think 2 things will be true at the same time. Yes, Boston's run to the finals, it was weak. But at the same time, that weak run doesn't take away that this squad was an all-time great team and one of the best teams of the 21st century. I mean, look back at the 22 Celtics, their road to the finals was 1,000 times harder. But when they lost in the finals, did they get brownie points for a tough road to the biggest stage? Of course not, because they lost in the finals in 6 games. And even looking at smaller narratives, more nitpicking narratives, saying Boston isn't clutch, they're going to choke away the title, I saw that all postseason long. But if you look at their clutch time games, a perfect 6-0. Their plus-minus, plus 4.3, the best in the NBA. Their net rating, a ridiculous 46.9, also the best in the league. So whether it's they weren't battle-tested, they're not clutch, their duo can't come through in the finals, whether it's any of those narratives, they were all debunked and proven wrong, emphatically so. And speaking of that duo, Brown and Tatum, after last year's Game 7 versus the Heat, there were calls to break them up and end the era of the Jays.
Thought about this morning for a long time. You have to break up the duo of Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown. It's time to break it up for this reason.
It's not a lot of high-fiving. It's not a lot of chest bumping. When one is having success, the other one is not. And that's how it is. So as bad as we all would like to see it work, they can't coexist.
It's not that they're missing that one piece. It's that there's something flawed about Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown as your centerpiece, most expensive pieces that is keeping you from getting there.
But the first thing I thought about when I saw that deal is, Lord have mercy.
And to give you guys some context of why talking heads believe that, Boston during 2021 with Tatum and Brown still both below 25 years old. They went 500 and lost in the first round. 2022, how they started that year, they were below 500 nearly 40 games into the season. And despite Tatum being 23, Brown being 24, them not really reaching their prime or their peak, people were saying break them up and they'd never work. And since that point, what have they done? Of course, how they finished 2022, they went 34-12, made the finals, and lost. 2023 came back, went to Game 7 of the East Finals, and again lost. And of course this year in 2024, they won the NBA championship. If you look at those 3 years right there, making the finals, Game 7 of the East Finals, and winning the NBA championship, the Tatum and Brown duo the past 3 years have been the best duo success-wise in the entire NBA. If you would have broken these two players up before they both hit 26 years old, it would have been one of the biggest mistakes in league history and looked back on as a James Harden OKC type move, where a team was reaching the pinnacle, reaching the mountaintop, and then blew it up when they were inches away. And like we saw this year, Jaylen, kind of the alpha dog, the tone setter for the entire Celtics team. And of course, on the defensive end, an absolute pit bull who can bully smaller players, but also hang with the fours and the small ball fives. And looking at Tatum's all-around offensive game, much improved from 2022. As when it comes to making the right play, being a willing passer, comparing this year's finals to the 22 finals, it's night and day. And then defensively, I mean, he's guarding fours and fives, guarding pick and roll switches, doing everything defensively while on the glass, getting 10 boards per game. If you're a Celtics fan nowadays, the Tatum and Brown duo, they're simply untouchable. And going forward, the scary thing like I said earlier, they're only going to get better going in their late 20s and early 30s. And looking at Jaylen specifically, I think at this run, it was the ultimate vindication and the ultimate middle finger to the media and fans who doubted him, his contract, and his overall ability. As remember, really post-2019, this guy was put in trade rumors every single season.
I wouldn't give up Tatum for him. But everyone else, yes. Buy Jaylen, buy Marcus, buy picks.
Ringer's Kevin O'Connor also loves the Lillard idea, listing him as his top trade option for Jaylen.
If I'm the Celtics, I would actually look into a sign and trade for Damian Lillard.
In some dark alternate universe, Kevin Durant, Dame Lillard, or Bradley Beal, they're members of the Boston Celtics. So when it comes to Jaylen, he's one of the best NBA success stories, as he came in, yes, a top 3 pick, but built himself up from a role player, bench player, to then a starter, an all-star, an all-NBA player, and eventually an NBA champion. I mean, he's taken progressive steps every single season and gotten better, to at this point, was respected league-wide. And I can't help but draw parallels from this team to the 2018. As Tatum, Brown, Jrue Holiday, Derek White, they all took step backs individually so the team collectively could win a title. And when talking about who's the quote-unquote best player on Boston, the Finals MVP, it really doesn't matter. My overall point being, looking back at the 08 team, you don't debate who was better, KG, Pierce, or Ray. What you debate is how good they were as a team. The same thing goes for the 24 Celtics. Now, one of the big-time differences from the 08 team and the 24 team, this team is primed to make an extended run into the 2020s. As looking at Jaylen, only 27, Tatum 26, White 29, KP 28, and Jrue 34. I mean, assuming Al Horford retires, the only older veteran they have is Jrue Holiday. And the good thing for Jrue is on this Boston team, doesn't have to score 20 points per game with the second best offensive player behind Giannis. For the Celtics, at the most, he's their third best offensive player. Most nights the fourth, some nights fifth, even sixth. So going forward, Drew, despite being 34 years old, doesn't have the high usage rate that he had back with the Bucks. So that right there is the end of the video and the conclusion of the 2024 season. And the last thing I'll say about the Celtics team, they're a legit team. Not one guy, not two guys, not three. They're a legit great team through and through. As always, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time.